parents growing up work multiple jobs. Like my mom had 3 jobs. She would go cleaning, she would go help somebody with MS, and they tried to never complain. The one thing that they would talk about almost every day growing up was money, how there was not enough of that money. And so that created this constant fear within everyone in the family group. And if you're in that situation where you're hearing your parents talk about money, and or you are talking about money within your household, I'm sure everybody does it one way or another. But if you're doing it from a fear of spending mindset, this video is very much for you. So they weren't doing it wrong, and you're not doing it wrong either. Like, I'm not saying, hey, you're doing this wrong, but the game can be changed a little bit, right? And that mindset and the way we communicate about money can be changed a little bit. So, and a big thing is nobody told us the rules. Like, what are the rules? And back then, my parents didn't even know the rules. And even now, today, those rules have changed completely. Like, what used to work doesn't work now. And what's working now is somewhat unique. Like, here I am in front of you trying to explain those things because things are changing so fast every day that we need some constant guidance and being able to change that mindset each and every day. So there's 3 traps that I want to talk to you guys about today. The first one is the fear of spending. Okay, this is like deep in my soul. Like, there's this huge fear of not wanting to spend that extra dollar. So even when I save the money, I feel anxious about saving money. So there's a lot of emotion tied to that spending. There could be guilt, there could be regret. You got to build leverage, not labor, is what builds a life. So you don't want to build a life around work. You want to build a life around leverage, and you want to build a life around peace. Okay, that's what's going to build your life. That's what's going to give you a satiating, fulfillment, and happy life. Okay, here's trap number 3: scarcity equals safety. That's not true. Okay, there's this mindset. It's like, okay, if I don't buy this, if I don't spend this, it's going to bring safety. If I don't get that thing I really, really want, whether it be a phone or another item, that's just not how it works. You not doing something is also not the thing that's going to bring you safety and peace in your heart. Okay. So here's the thing. My parents were the masters of stretching the dollar. Rice and beans, right? The title of this whole channel. We would eat that a lot. Coupons. You reused everything. But that scarcity mindset kept me and for a long time from taking certain risks. And it keeps certain people, like my parents, they were able to take certain risks, but then it keeps them from continuing taking risks and avoiding certain opportunities to protect what little they had. And so when you go into this scarcity mindset, you start to protect what you have. You're consuming and consuming strategically, not producing and risking productively. You have to risk productively in order to grow and create that foundation. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And the big truth about this one is that you cannot grow if you only play defense. Okay? You've got to take a shot. You have to take a shot. Move constantly. So here's a few stories, and right, like my whole thing about building this channel is to be a little bit more personal and like get to connect with you guys at a deeper level. And I have a lot of anxieties that have come from money and a lot of stresses that have come from money, but everybody probably feels that too. And I want to share some stories with you. So every Saturday morning back when I was 11 years old, my dad would come into my room, he'd knock on the door and he'd say, "Hey papito, let's go." And I'm like, "Where are we going?" He's like, "We're going to the bank." Well, okay, we're going to the bank. So he needed me to translate because he didn't know a lick of English. And so we would go to the bank and he would essentially say, "Hey, we need," on the drive to the bank, he would say, "Hey, we need a $25 fee. I forgot to make a payment. And so there's a fee associated with this this cost, and we're going to try to waive that fee today. If we don't waive that fee, I'm not going to have enough money for gas to get to Orlando to do my job. He worked at Disneyland or Disney World. And in that day, in that moment, I knew I wanted more than just survival. It's not about survival, and it's not about stretching every dollar. Here's another story. Around the same age, I used to go to a flea market in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to help my uncle, who was a jeweler. He would fix jewelry, he would buy and sell jewelry, and there'd be money transactions happening all the time. So I saw some of the biggest checks written out in the largest quantities of money that I've ever seen in my life being transacted for metal, right? In this case, gold or silver or earrings or, right, jewels. And there's this big old stack of $10,000 bills that was essentially, I sold a $10,000 bracelet to this person. And I thought, wow, man, here's my father taking me to try to fight a $25 fee. And here's $10,000 in my hand that we just received for this metal. Just this thing that like really doesn't generate any value from a functional standpoint. And I thought, what in the world? This world is so interesting. There's this transaction of metal that's happening for $10,000, and my dad has to go to work tomorrow for $25 in the gas tank, and it's just a different. I learned that there's just different games to play. There's just, this life is just a different way of playing a game. And then I, on certain weekends or holidays, we would go to my other cousin's house, and they had a pool. They had all these really cool things, and I loved it there. You know, we loved going there. And we lived in like a 500 square foot home. It's a little tiny home in Lakeland, Florida, where we had nothing. There was nothing, and we were stretching every dollar. And so I had this unique observation of seeing how different people play different games. And there's subtleties amongst all of those people and how they generate their income and how they use that income to maybe create stability or not create stability. And that has tailored the way I think about money significantly. I think the first generation immigrant in the United States has the greatest potential than anyone else in the United States. So ownership doesn't have to be perfect, guys. It just doesn't. And I looked at it. My mom had a house. That's ownership. That's foundational. That brought peace. My uncle, he had the jewelry store. That was a business. That was foundational. That brought peace. My other uncle had a great job, software engineer. That was foundational. He brought peace, and he had, fun things, and he chose to spend money on certain things. And everybody chose to spend their money differently. But at the end of the day, the question is that going to draw peace, right? So the rice and beans mindset works to an extent, but we have to start shifting it more. In closing, guys, the whole thing that I need you guys to think is what scales and what doesn't scale. What's foundational and what's not foundational. Okay? What brings peace and what doesn't bring peace. Okay? What buys peace? You can buy peace in certain ways. There's a certain level of purchasing peace and creating a system that can work differently for you and work for you and not the other way around. Okay? You don't want to work for money. You want money to work for you. Okay? Guys, thank you for hopping on. If you guys didn't subscribe already, please subscribe. Welcome to the Rice and Beans community. There'll be another video next week. Excited to continue this channel. Thank you for giving me your time, and go generate peace, build something for yourselves.